Okay. Before we move forward, oh, they left already. Okay. Before we move forward, just a little housekeeping rules. How many of you have cell phones? Wow. Wow. No, like now. No. Oh, okay. That's good to know. All of you guys have cell phones at the house. Wow. Okay. You see this? This is our microphone. Okay. So we're going to be doing a lot of discussion. I know you guys are going to have a lot of questions, and we're going to have questions for you. And if you don't get it right, you might get a bad grade. I'm just kidding. But um, so you see the talk button? You guys see the talk button? Yes. So when you guys need to talk, or if you raise your hand and I recognize you, you go ahead and push the button once. And if you see that the light is on, that means the microphone is on. Okay. And when you're done talking, just press the talk button one more time. And when the light goes off, that means the microphone is off. You got it? Got it. Okay. How many of you would like to be on TV? All right. Okay. So, Miss Speaker, there's a switch there. Go ahead and turn it on. Flip it up. There you go. So we are on air.
No,
We
sorry.
are on air. I know you guys said all your cell phones are at your house, but we are live on channel 23. We are also live on YouTube. Yeah, yeah, right now. So everybody just wave. Just wave. We have different cameras. Hello. And as a bonus, we'll have your representatives do a little TikTok. Is that okay? I'm just kidding. Oh, okay. All right. Good morning, turtles, and welcome to your House of Representatives, the chamber. Although some of you are thinking, but I'm not old enough to vote, we represent all of you, especially you, turtles. As the Speaker of the House, I was elected in election district precinct 3. That's our precinct, yes. Yeah. So I'll go ahead and introduce myself and the members. I am Representative Edmund Villagomez. I am the Speaker of the House. And to my right, we have Representative Blas Jonathan Tenorio Attao, or better known as Representative BJ Attao. He is also from Precinct 3. Only clap for the representatives from Precinct 3, okay? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Yep. And to my left over here is Representative Marissa Flores from Precinct 3 as well. And we have our floor leader, Representative Edwin Probst from Precinct 1. And we have our Vice Speaker, Representative Joel Camacho from Precinct 4. And Representative Vincent Semen Aldan from Precinct 1. Number 1. Also present in the chamber, we have Representative Denita K. Yanktamai. She's also from Precinct 3. I think she also went to Oleai Elementary School. No, okay. Oh, they were almost going to clap for you. But she was a long-time educator. I think your parents were her students, right? Yeah. Maybe even your grandparents. I'm just kidding. Oh, wow. Yeah, there you go. How were they? Were they good students? But why? Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Miss Jackie is auntie to me too. So, yeah. So, good morning. So, what grade are we in? Third. Right on. Is this a specific class, or do they do what do they call that when one teacher teaches the whole? Oh, all subjects. Okay. All right. Wow. What do they call that? Because there's departmentalized and there's what do they call that? Yeah, general education. Oh, okay. Wow. Yep, that's us. If you guys can see the little screen, that's what we look like on YouTube. Yeah. Yep. All right. So once again, welcome to the House Chamber. As you know, the legislature. Yes. Um, I'll go ahead and talk about what we do, how we operate, how we're set up, and I'll also give the opportunity to my colleagues if they want to add. Please just raise your hand, and we'll go ahead and share the mic. Um, and in the middle of all this, if you have questions, just please go ahead and raise your hands. Okay? Yes, sir. Are you gonna sing for us? Oh, okay. Francis. Oh, okay. All right. Good question. We'll go ahead and start out with that. What is the difference between a bill and a law? The law is the final product. Okay. What we do here in the legislature is we draft laws in the form of bills. And then when we pass it here in the House, it goes up to the Senate. And if the Senate agrees with that bill and they pass it, it goes to the governor. And if the governor agrees with that bill, he signs it into law. So that's the difference. A bill is the beginning stages of the law. The law is the final product, and when it's signed into law, that's the law. Okay, so say if we draft a bill that says you have to stop at a red light, it's not official until it becomes the law. So the police officers cannot stop you if you run a red light. But by the way, stopping at a red light is the law. So good question. Yes, sir. If we make laws, what is the most important law? Good question. In my opinion, the most important law, um, among others, is the Budget Act. Okay, that's all. That's the law that talks about the money and where the money goes, how the money is going to be spent, even all the way down to the public school system. So without that law, if we don't have that law in place by October 1st of every fiscal year or every year, um, parts of the government shuts down. Okay. Um, but fortunately for you, because education is one of the most important public service that we provide to the people, the schools remain open. Safety is also very important. So who makes sure we're safe in the community? Officers, good. Anybody else? Firefighters, good. Police officers, yes. Well, military, we don't have our own military, so that's a level above us, and also the doctors and the nurses. So those services will remain open. Everything else will be shut down until the budget is in place. Okay, so stuff like the mayor's office will be shut down. So if your road is broken and there's a government shutdown, you can call the mayor's office all you want. Um, yeah, no one's gonna come until we have the budget in place. Yes, ma'am. Okay, do we enjoy working with each other? The House and the Senate? Yes, we do. Yes, yes, we do. We do enjoy and we need to work together because if we don't work together, like the first question regarding the bill and the law, the bill doesn't move forward, but we need to work together. Yes, there are times, like how many of you have siblings, brothers and sisters? Do you guys disagree with your brothers and sisters at times? Right? Like sometimes you guys want to fight, right? But you shouldn't do it. Well, it's the same as you get older. We just try not to fight. We fight in the form of debate and coming up with ideas so that we can move forward or put the bill back until a later time. So that's not the fun part, but it is still fun when you learn new things. Okay, sir. If you want, you can remember how I. There you go.
What is it? What is it like to be a senator?
Senator, okay. Thank you. Good question. What is it like to be a representative or a senator? It is fun. It is also stressful. because we try to entertain as much as possible every issue that comes our way. Um, and it's not just from adults, but it's also from students, young people just like yourselves. And the hard part about this job is trying to make everybody happy, which is very impossible. Thank you. Colleagues, do you want to add? Oh, okay. Go ahead, man. It is, yeah, it has its moments. It can be hard to be a senator and a representative, like I mentioned. Probably the hardest part is trying to satisfy all your constituents. Say that again. Actually, I would say the House is probably more difficult in the sense that in the House we have more free range in terms of what bills we can draft. Hmm. Yes,
The custom of the House of Representatives.
the custom.
Well, what is your question?
Um, the mayor will have a creative have rules.
Oh yeah, we have rules here in the House. Yep, that's a good question. We do have rules here in the House in terms of also how we use our money, how we dress to work, um, how many committees we have, how many members in the committees. Uh, we also have committees for discipline. So you know how if you're in trouble, what does your teacher do? If you get in trouble in the classroom, what do they do? You get referral to the office, right? So even with us, we have what we call, and I need to get to it, is we have a special ethics committee because we have a code of conduct that we need to follow, and if we break those rules, we have the ethics committee look into it. And then, of course, there's other enforcement like the police. Even though we're senators or representatives, just like anybody in the community, if we break the law, we can get arrested. If we break the law and it's serious, we can go to jail too. And court, yes. Yes, ma'am. Is it hard to make laws? I think, yes.
It's harder than you make a jury.
Yeah. Yeah. It, sometimes laws are hard to make. Coming up with a law can be easy, but getting it through the process can be hard because everybody's going to have their opinion. There's 20 eyes in this chamber, so even if you introduce a bill and you did your research, you know, there's other members that are going to be like, oh, how about this? Why is this like that? How do we make it better? That's probably the hard part of making a law. Uh, oh, I'd like to also recognize in the chamber Representative Julie Ogo from the island of Rhoda. How do turtles clap like this? Huh? Just kidding. And Representative Roman Beneventi from Precinct 1. Huh? Yeah.
Just to add on to your question, why is it hard? It's difficult because when we draft legislations, we have to think of you guys, how it's going to affect you guys in 5, 10, or 15 years from now. Because when time changes, obviously personalities and different ideas changes, right? When we grew up, we didn't have cell phones, we didn't have internet, so you guys have all of that. So maybe in 10 or 15 years there's going to be something different, so we have to anticipate the changes in the future. That's what makes it really hard, because we can always make good laws for today, but is it going to be good tomorrow? That's the challenge. So we have to always take that into consideration.
All the people, yes. So that's a thank you, Representative Apta. That's also one of the hard parts is we got to think of of the future. One of the issues that have come up regarding our casino is internet gaming. And when Tinian drafted their initiative and it got passed back in the mid 90s, if I'm not mistaken, they actually had internet gaming in their policy, which at the time, internet was almost non existent or unheard of in the CNMI. So, forward thinking like that is also what makes it difficult. Um, Anybody else? Yes. You had your hands up? Yeah. There, just press one. Yeah. Go ahead, man.
How many days did you guys manage to build this place?
How many days? Well, this was yeah, this all these buildings you see here in Capitol Hill, like even the governor's building, this was actually a very isolated place way back in the day, even before Miss Jackie was born. Um, when the trust territory times, when the U.S. was very heavy, their presence. So this was like their intelligence area. The governor's building was built that time. I think I've even heard where people were not really just freely allowed to come up here, if I'm not mistaken. You had to go through like a checkpoint. Now you can drive through Capitol Hill, no problem. But back then, because there was some serious operations going on, and they needed people to stay here, that's why they built these houses that are now offices. But um, officials from the United States government were stay. They built this so they could stay here and do their work here. So these buildings were upgraded throughout the years, but the structure and everything was built 60s, 50s, in the 1950s. Yes, ma'am. Wow, can I see your thermos? It has, maybe I can find an answer. No, I'm just kidding. How long does it take to make a law? It really depends. Sometimes we have laws that are very urgent that we need it as soon as possible, and if all the members in the Senate, the House, and the administration is in agreement with that policy, it can happen in a day. There are times I remember in my first term, one of my first term took 3 years. One of my first bills that became law, took two and a half years of that first term to become law. So it really depends on the process. Sir, I know you had your hands up. What does it feel like being part of the House of Representatives? It's a very honorable position. It's very humbling, especially for all of us. We always have to put the people in mind when we make decisions. What's the best call for the common good, but also at the same time not alienate, the others that may disagree. So, yes, ma'am. Yes. Oh, right here. Go ahead. What is the hardest law? Okay, important law, like I mentioned earlier for me, and if my colleagues would like to chime in. Oh, okay, go ahead. I apologize. The other members, there's also scheduled committee meetings that were planned before this, so they needed to step up.
That's a very good question. But like the speaker said, the budget's the most important legislation for both houses to get passed because it's going to function everything else in the CNMI. But I think one of the most important laws are forward thinking laws, like what we were saying earlier, laws that can be beneficial to you guys when you get to our age, and you guys can build upon those laws. Those are important for us. And somebody mentioned about, is it how's it feel being a member of this body? It's like being a student in Miss Jackie's classroom. You respect each other. You go to school every day. You try to learn from each other. You learn from your teacher. In our case, sometimes our teachers are you guys. What you guys bring up is an issue that none of us have thought of, that we need to address, that would help maybe the kids after you guys, but you're bringing it up. So our teachers are everybody else in the community, and we have to marry those uh, well, the concerns that are brought up by you guys with the current laws so we can fix them to make them better for you guys in the future. And thank you for that question. Can I go ahead? How long have I been in the legislative branch? Okay, as a member of the House, I've been here for 10 years, no, 10 years after this term. But before that, I used to work for the Bureau. So I used to write for the members of the legislature, for the House and the Senate back in 2014, all the way back. So I worked there for 11 years. Speaker was one of the youngest members that was ever elected into the House of Representatives. And he's been here for going on 15 years, right? He'll be 15 years after this term. So, although he's one of the younger members that's currently serving in the legislature, he's the most experienced in years of service here in the House. I don't want to talk about age because we have older members than we are. And see, they ran away. Thank you.
Right on. Like I mentioned earlier, some members had meetings. Representative Manny Costru was here earlier. He is the chairman of education, but he had to step out. Sir, over here, you had your hands up. Yes, actually, I don't know if these plugs work, but there's plugs underneath the table somewhere. Yeah, they work. I know because I charge my phone too sometimes during session. Yeah, yes, sir. Go ahead. Why did I choose to be a representative? It's because I want to help the people mainly. Um, Before becoming a representative, I was working at the Department of Commerce, and part of my duties and responsibilities was to review legislation that affects the economy and our department. And that really opened up my eyes to looking at running for office. So that's how it goes. Yes, Primo. Say that again, louder, please. No, go ahead. Ask again, louder. Ask a little. Yes, actually, up here, if something happens, uh, I don't know if you've seen like Mr. Ogun over here, who's our assistant sergeant at arms. If something were to happen here in the legislature, they are the point of contact, or they are the ones that reach out because they're part of the network with DPS and Homeland. So if something happens here, yes, they do contact the police or the hospital or whatnot. And I'm sure at your schools you've had you've had active shooter drills, right? Right? Lockdowns, yes. So even with us, if there's a situation like that in the community and it's also far from us, our sergeant at arms are knowledgeable about what to do, and if need be, we would also be on lockdowns. So good question. Yes, ma'am. How many times has a law been vetoed? A lot, a lot. And then when they veto and we still feel that that law is important, we do what we call an override. So both the House and the Senate, with 2/3 of each chamber voting to override, then that's when the bill becomes law without the governor's signature. Yes, ma'am. Cool hair, by the way.
How did you become a part of the legislative branch?
Okay, thank you. How did we become a part of the legislative branch? Easy. Actually, not easy, but of course, when you want to be a representative, you got to run for office. Okay, just like you have student council at the school, right? You have to vote for your student president and student body. So same with Stuco, yes. So same with us, but with the members, it's a lot harder because first you have different requirements. Like to run in the House, you have to be at least 21 years old. You have to be a U.S. citizen. You have to live in the precinct that you want to run for or run in. You have to be you have to have a clean slate, no serious criminal background on your record. And then on top of that, you have to collect a petition. I think it was confusing this last election. It was either 100 or 50. So you got to get a good 100 or 50 signatures in your precinct. And if they're good, then you turn that in. Then the election office certifies that you can be a candidate. Then that's when you start running for office. You go visit houses, you talk to people, try to get them to vote for you, and then election day comes. And if they vote for you, in precinct 3, for example, there are 6 seats. So if you're running for office and you want to win, you want to try to get the top 6 votes in the precinct. So that's how it works. Good question, by the way. Sir, go ahead. Just press it once.
What is your favorite law and why?
What is my favorite law and why? Every law that I've introduced is my favorite. Actually, there's a lot. I can't really think of. The first thing that always comes to mind is always the budget, because as hard as it is, it's still my favorite law, because if we put it into place, that means the government can operate. All of you can go to school. The police is there to patrol the streets. The mayor's office is there to do their duties and responsibilities, and everybody else and your parents that work in the government will continue to get paid. The money will get spent in the economy, and we got an economy rolling. So I will say that's probably my favorite law. Um,
Got it when you were first elected.
okay, when I was first elected, I worked on simple bills. One was to move the workman's comp to the Department of Commerce. It was, I think, under the retirement office, so that was one. Um, at the time, also, it was President Obama's term. You guys know President Obama? Yes. So one of his biggest policies was the Obamacare. And so I felt we needed to be actively involved in the discussion. So one of the other bills I've introduced was some of the fees that we collect under our insurance would go to pay for a membership fee in what we call the NAIC, which is the National Association of Insurance Commissioners, so that we could actively be involved in the conversation regarding Obamacare. One of my favorites that I've introduced was to amend the underage drinking laws. So it's very strict. It's more strict now. Of course, you guys are not old enough to drink yet, but in the event that you get caught drinking underage, it's worse than what it used to be. Yes, ma'am. Yes, we have 2 sergeant at arms in the House, and well, we have 2 also in the Senate. So yes, we do. Sir, go ahead. Back there. Is it rare for the governor to come here? No, it's not. As a matter of fact, we always we keep our doors open to everybody as much as we can, including the governor. So it's not rare. How about up here, guys? Yes, speaker. Yeah. Yeah.
Just press it one time.
Nice. Okay. Just press it once. Just press it one time. There you go.
Which law was first made?
The very first law, I can't remember. I would like to say maybe the first supreme law before there was a legislature was probably the Covenant and the Constitution. But if you're talking the legislature, I don't know. That's way before my time.
Maybe we should know.
Yeah, we should know. But
Do not steal.
yeah, do not steal. The 10 Commandments. And also in the chamber, another representative from Precinct 3, Ralph Umo. Representative Ralph Umo is the chairman of Ways and Means, which pretty much he chairs the committee that works on the money. Yes, ma'am. The very recent law that we had, we actually there were three that was signed recently. One was the judgment, reducing it to 3%. There was another law that allowed the Jotenkizu Public Library. You know the public library, yeah. So to help them save money by allowing them to do net metering or smart meters for their power. And what's the third one? Oh, there's the marriage certificate regarding the retirees. So some of your grandparents or great grandparents, they probably got married somewhere else, and our current language did not recognize that, so we amended to for it to be recognized so that the widow can receive the benefits. Yes, sir, back there. Yes. Say that again. Why did Obama become president? Yeah, I remember talking to him one time about that. No, I think just for the same reason we wanted to become representatives. He wanted to help the people. So running for president is a bigger and way more difficult task than running for the House of Representatives here. Because if you think about it, there are over or almost 350 million people in the United States. I think that also includes us, but we can't vote for president. But the goal there is, I think there's over or almost over 150 million voters or something like that. So you want to try to get majority of that 150 million. Good question. Yes, sir. Okay.
How did you feel in your first time being a senator?
Wow. For me, I was nervous at first because when you run for office, you look at the issues, and the issues you look at is what you read on the newspaper, what you think you know, and then when you actually win and you sit in the seat that you've won, that's when you actually know how deep the problem is. So it's just like when you're going to jump in the pool and you look and it's like, oh, it's not that deep, then you jump in and you realize you cannot touch the bottom. That's what it is. So during election, your campaign, you're looking at the water and you're like, I got this. And then when you win and you jump in, then you see sharks coming, you're like, what? So it's basically like that. So I was nervous, but we have the help of the resources around us. We have legal counsels, we have researchers. We can call in any agency we want. We have subpoena power. So even if they don't want to come in, we can actually say, you come now or pay the consequences. So um, we're all here to help each other. Yes, ma'am. Okay, over here, ma'am.
Do you feel comfortable working together?
Yes, I think that's the best way to get the bills going. Guys, just to let you know, I've been informed that we have 10 more minutes, so let's maximize the 10 minutes. Anybody else back there actually that has? Ma'am, go ahead.
How many times has a law been accepted in a span of 1 year?
In 1 year, wow, even that is it changes. I mean, there are years where in 1 year we get 30 laws. Um, and sometimes it's not new laws. Okay, these laws are just to fix old laws, right? So like Representative Attal said, we got to think of the future. So say if something new happens, like growing up, the roads in Saipan used to be only 2 lanes. So of course, if we're gonna make laws about traffic, it was only based on the 2 lanes. But as we got older, they were able to expand the road. So of course, we're gonna have to change the law to include the 4 lane. Growing up until before I think the first traffic lights were put in on Saipan in 1994. How many of you were born in 1994? None of you. So even before, so imagine before 1994, there's no traffic lights. So imagine driving out in the road out there without traffic lights. Yeah, so things like that. As things change, we got to change the law too. Yes. Okay. Okay, Francis. So what was his question? There's 2 chambers. Yes, there's the House chamber and the Senate chamber. Good question. Yes, sir.
How old do you have to be in the legislative branch?
Okay, for the House, you have to be 21, and for the Senate, you have to be 25. Yes, ma'am. There you go.
Do you feel comfortable talking to the judge?
Well, it depends because I've talked to the judges a lot, but I don't know how I'd feel if it's because I did something wrong. That's a different story. So yeah, I don't know. I feel comfortable talking to the judges, but like I said, it depends on the setup. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead. Yeah, this one time. Wait, never. It's okay. Go ahead. My least favorite law. That's Well, I think there are laws that I have voted against. I can't think of anything on the top of my head, but usually, if I vote against a law, but it passes into law, I would say that's not my favorite law. Yeah. Yes, sir. Back there. Oh, okay. Sir, go ahead.
Where's the other chamber located?
It's on the other side of this wall. So I think that's where your other friends and classmates. Yeah. There's a hallway that you can get through to this side. Yep. Okay, speaker.
What's your most favorite law?
For me, like I mentioned, the budget is my most favorite law because once that law is in place, everything moves. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yes, sir. Why are laws important? Good question. Laws are important because it establishes order in the community. Okay. Can you imagine if there's no law and somebody just goes to your house and steals your stuff and there's nothing anybody can do about it? There's nobody you can call, or somebody you're driving on the road with your family, somebody hits your car. So laws are very important so that there is order in the community. Without laws, I don't even think you guys have to go to school. You know? Who- Okay. It's a law for you guys to go to school, and it's required, and it's also on your parents that if you don't send your kids to school, they can get in trouble. So that's why laws are very important. Yes, ma'am. How does the Senate what? How does the Senate look? Work? Okay, they work the same way as us. The only difference between the House and the Senate is they cannot introduce bills that deals with money. So anything that will generate money or move money around, things like that, they cannot. Us, on the other hand, we can. Everything that deals with money has to start from the House. In the Senate, their power is to confirm. That's something we cannot do in terms of the governor's cabinet members and board members. So that's a difference. Yes, sir. Biggest case. We don't deal with cases here, but
That
The biggest
controversial
50
law, maybe?
cents.
the controversial. Yeah.
The casino is one law that was very controversial, just because it was voted down by the people. I think 2 or 3 times already. Then it just came through this body. They passed it into law, and at that time, the argument was that it's supposed to pay for the retirees. So they had the backing of the retirees. The bill became law, but and today now we're facing some of the detrimental effects of what the casino is. You guys know that big building down in Garapan, right? The, that's a big white building that has doesn't it's not functioning at all. It's just a building that's sitting next to the other businesses around it. So that's a those are certain detrimental effects. We have to live through that right now. Try to fix that industry, maybe help it come back to life or move on to something else. But that's something that we need to think about and try to figure out so that you guys don't have to worry about it when it comes to your turn. And good question. Ma'am, you? Do you have a question? Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
What hard things did you encounter while you're being a representative?
One of the hardest things, I think, you guys were in school and you guys were probably listening and reading about the impeachment process that happened in the 22nd legislature, right? That's probably one of the most difficult things, just because laws were potentially broken. Right now, it's in the court, right? They're sort of trying to determine whether laws were broken. Those are very difficult because we have familial ties. There's family that we have to make decisions for whatever they've done, right? And those, I think, are the most difficult times so far. With the speakers faced that three times already. So he may be, like I said, he may be the youngest one, but he's been through it three times already. Also been through a government shutdown, so that's a challenge that he's faced that not many other members have faced. Any, go ahead. What does it take? So what it took to become a representative, like speaker had mentioned, we need to inform ourselves of the issue, be committed to the job, and then run our petitions so that we can turn them into the election commission, and then they certify us to be able to run for office. Then we still need to go out to the public and make sure that they know who we are, what our intentions are for the position that we're seeking, and your parents and your grandparents hopefully gives us those vote of confidence to be able to serve you guys here.
Over here, she had a question.
Yeah.
Yeah, she had a question. You had your hand up earlier?
Did you have a question?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Ask your question.
How many people work here? So usually in the legislative bureau, so the legislative bureau kind of governs this place. So which you have like the sergeant arms, a director. There's about close to 30 people that work there. For the members, there's 20 House members and there's 9 Senate members. So that's 29 elected officials. And then each office has probably 2 staff. Yeah, but at least 2 staff. So roughly a little over 100 people work out of this building, not necessarily in the building, because we also have staff that work outside of the building. That answer your question? Any other questions? I think Congressman Yuma wants to answer a question.
One more question, and then we'll wrap it up, and we'll take a group photo.
One more question.
One more question.
Anybody?
We're good.
We're good. You?
Okay.
Oh.
Oh,
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
that's
You already asked that question.
The biggest loss, the budget, for sure. It's the budget. But one of the things that makes that we enjoy a lot in our delegation, we have a SIPAN delegation, which it's kind of like another legislative body outside of the House and the Senate. So in that body, we do a lot of appropriations to get monies to programs for you guys, in addition to what the budget gives you. Last question.
What is the smallest law that has not been vetoed?
The smallest law, that's really hard. I think maybe the smallest law that's not been vetoed was probably a local appropriation bill, like something for, like, let's say the Oleai Elementary School needs $15,000 for like the bus shelter that you guys have at the school. Oh, the damaged one. I think Congressman Yuma already is purchasing that out of his office to take care of Oleai's basketball court. So we're working with Precinct 3 to take care of that.
so. Yeah, sometimes like the smallest law could be something as simple as to appropriate $2,000 to something to paint the road or to refurbish a basketball court. All right, thank you, everyone. Before we leave, can we take a group photo? We'll have the sergeant at arms come up here. Everybody come down here, and we'll gather, and we'll take
Are
a
we
group photo.
done?
Come in here, and they're gonna take a picture. Thank you all for all the good questions. Yeah, yeah. No, that's good.